Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to the latest edition of the Irregular update with me, MonolithicBacon. It's been a little while. I suppose I'm calling them Irregular updates for a reason, but namely it's because there's been a lot of work on for me at the moment, and I'm only just coming towards the other end of it, so I'm finally getting some spare time back. Now, this is going to be a bit of an odd one, more towards Project Zomboid and less towards Company of Heroes 2, but I'll start with Company of Heroes because I should probably explain why there's not much to reveal. At the moment, I have a lot of mapping projects going on, but there's one thing that's namely kind of jumped in the way, and that is the alpha. Now, because of the alpha's NDA, I can't disclose anything about it whatsoever, nor can I really talk about any of my mapping projects, because they'll be using assets from the alpha. So, on that front, I'm sort of limited. However, I did want to disclose that, as with the previous alpha, I am planning a map pack. Something that will be thrown together and brought out as soon as the content is released once the alpha is finished. This means that you should expect between 6 and 7 maps from me, all based around new themes, with new content, basically ideas that I've been saving up for a long time now, and I could do with a bit of justification to get them out there. With that in mind, the 2 maps that Mirage and myself were working on are being released as part of that pack. But because, again, of the NDA, I can't really disclose anything that's happening in those either, despite the fact that they're further along than most. But something I can talk about is the fact that we started hosting the community map project on Kotu.org to have a look at which of the Company of Heroes 1 maps people wanted to see. So with that in mind, we have scores that are being tallied up constantly. I'm still leaving the poll open for a little bit longer to see if anyone wants to throw in some last minute ideas, seeing as the 6 to 8 player map is actually looking very close. But it looks like the 2 to 4 player category is Declare, and in the 4 to 6 player category we have Wolfhetzer. Now, Wolfhetzer's score is extremely close as well. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that one because it could easily get overtaken by something else. But if we have a draw or something that's maybe 1 or 2 points off, I don't see why we can't convert more than just 1. As for Montages region, which is supposed to be taking 6 to 8 player, I'm a bit dubious. Not because of its score, I mean it is a bit close, seeing as there's other good 8 player maps out there. But at the moment we have the issue that Montages region may not convert over very well. The reason being is that mapping at the moment in Company of Heroes 2, you have 10 territory points, 3 victory points usually, 2 fuel and 2 manpower points, whereas in Montages region you're looking in excess of 20 odd territory points. Because we used to have small, medium and large fuel and munitions points, it was easier to have a lot more of them, and you'd have lots of smaller skirmishes rather than very large contrasted ones like you do in Company of Heroes 2. Now, there are other things that we can add to Montages to try and get the territory working. The map itself would be fine, but the territory could be an issue. So I will help the strategists as much as I can in coming up with a new layout for it, but my hope is that Montages region will be a decent map, because I know it's a fan favourite. As for the others, Declare and Wolfhetzer shouldn't be a problem at all. They are of a size that it's easy to convert over. It shouldn't take longer than a couple of days each, really, once we decide to sit down and do them properly. But going back to the whole alpha pack that I'm bringing out, these maps will take priority for me. So I have 6 to 7 of them to make. We have 3 which are probably about 50%, 1 which is at 80%, and the rest are basically in their early stages, either from conversions or in planning. But yeah, that's it for Company of Heroes 2 at the moment. The alpha's still rolling on. People are saying some very good things about it, but without going into any details. We'll see what kind of comes out of Relic in the next few days, really. But for those of you who are more interested in Project Zomboid, Phoenix has hit Alpha 1.1, which is sure to change at some point soon. I didn't want to go out of pre-alpha with Phoenix until I was absolutely sure that it was play ready, and the Alpha 1.1 at the moment is very much playable. What I've done in this latest version is kind of break the mold and extend the map. Now, I'm expecting a hell of a lot of trouble with doing so. Bear in mind that Phoenix to begin with was only a 3x3 map in terms of cells, so there was only 9 cells to play with. In terms of that though, it's pretty large, but there were no boundaries to it, there was no forest on the outskirts really to speak of, And if you're playing Phoenix as a standalone, which unfortunately is one of the only choices at the moment while it's still in the early alpha stages, you could actually reach the edge of the map and it breaks immersion a bit. So what I wanted to do was extend it and add some more in, particularly when you look on the far northwest side of the map. The city kind of reaches the boundaries a bit too close. So I've extended outwards, and it's currently at 3x4 cells, so it's been lengthened. However, while you guys are able to play on that one, and I would highly recommend you do so, at least try it to see what you like about it, it's being extended again. So for Alpha 2.0, which will be coming out perhaps in a month's time, we're looking at going from 3 to 4 cells up to 4x7. So this thing is being massively blown up. Because of that, it means that I'm looking at getting it integrated into the proper map eventually. I'm going to have a proper look at getting things like working functions for items and item lists within buildings, having everything uniquely made, and the whole scavenging mechanic in the game has to be fixed, kind of. So at the moment, you are screwed, essentially, if you run out of dry foods once the electricity's off. You can still fish, so far as I'm aware, but there's no other way to harvest from the land. So that still needs fixing, and that's going to take a little while to sort out. But in terms of Phoenix at the moment, and Phoenix in the future, it's still very, very playable. There's a lot to work with. There's something like 200 buildings to play with, so you could easily last a long time there. But I wanted to add a lot of abandoned industrial areas. I wanted to add more housing estates. A lot of the ambient buildings that you don't necessarily look at and think, oh wow, I'll stop and have a look at that. More of the, I'll pass through here because it looks safer, and might find something a bit more interesting. Because at the moment, Phoenix has a lot of very large and fantastical buildings. So things like the hospital, the Eon building, the college, they're all very large, very dangerous places to go to. But I feel like there's not enough of the smaller, easier buildings that people might tend to go into quickly to try and scavenge what they can. So that's it really for this Irregular update. I don't know when the next one will be, but hopefully I'll be able to show you some images of the Company of Heroes 2 maps soon. I will try and overlay some of the Project Zomboid images as well, just so you can see how it's changed, the scale of it at the moment, and what to expect in the future. But for now, that's it from me. This has been Monolithic Bacon. Please go on over to Kotu.org if you're interested in the community of Company of Heroes 2, and drop over to the Livingstone forums if you're interested in Project Zomboid. I'll have links to all of my maps and my workshop items in the description below, and if you have any ideas for me whatsoever with regards to Company of Heroes 2 maps or Project Zomboid, then drop me anything you want, messages on YouTube, or add me on Steam under Monolithic Bacon, and then hopefully we'll get some good ideas together. But still, I'll see you later. This has been Monolithic Bacon. Until next time.